welcome to another episode of the Wine and Chisme podcast. And as you can see, well, maybe you don't know, this is my house. This is my husband, Antonio. And often people have asked me questions about you, babe. So this is your opportunity
To prove I'm real?
to prove you're real. I really do have a husband. I really do have, uh, a life. So our dogs might be jumping on and off. Well, Keto's nice and comfortable over here. Daisy might jump on and off, but we've had quite a year.
Almost, yeah. We're just about a year, but yeah, it's been a year. I'll tell you that. Yeah, it's been a year.
Well, that's what I say. 2024 has
It's been a great 4 months. I'm telling you, those last 4 months have been wild.
It really has.
Yeah.
Because 2024 has, well, obviously we got married.
Oh, was this year?
That was this.
Yeah. I thought that was last year, but yeah, time's flying faster than we thought. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And then soon after, now Antonio is more private than I am. That's why I don't share a lot about you on social. I do share little tidbits on the website on the podcast about you. How do you feel about anytime I talk about you on the podcast?
Uh, I mean, as a normal person, you want to be talked about. It's like, hey, look at me, talk about me. But in the real world, I'm very private.
Yeah.
It's like I sit in my own little circle, and I like to sit back and watch the world go by. I'd rather prefer that. I like to, if you wanted to walk the streets, I would sit on the curb and not that streets, not walk those streets. But if you walked around, I'd sit in a coffee shop and just let you do your thing, and I'd be completely happy just sitting out and just watch the world go by, because that's kind of how I've been. I'd rather see life than live life. It's more like that. Like, I don't want to see people do their things, than rather do what they do. It's like, oh, you went for a hike. Good for you. Tell me about it.
Wait, I want to say something when you said a hike, because when we first started dating, you were like, "Don't ask me to go on a hike."
No, I don't want to. I don't want to go on a hike. Like, why would I want to go on a hike? It's like we could easily look at those things on the internet and Instagram. I could see a tree. I could take you to Balboa Park and see a tree. We don't have to hike and see a tree. To say you want to go work out, don't tell me you want to go for a hike. That I don't want to go for a hike.
Before I forget, this wine is from one of your customers.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I won't say his name just in case it's illegal to make your own wine. I don't know. We're not gonna put it on blast. But I was talking about how you had a podcast that was, the Wine and Chisme podcast. And he's like, "What is it?" I'm like, "Well, they talk about wine, number one, about Latino wines, number two, and the main focus was, about issues that deal with the culture and our community of color. Whatever it could be. It could be about debt. It could be about, you know, menstrual cycles. It could be about owning a pet. It could be about, changing a job. Anything that we just never talk about, because nobody wants to talk about things. Because if you're a man, you're machismo, and you don't say about those things, or women, you don't say about those things because that's your husband's area. Things that you just never talk about. So when I was, I feel more comfortable talking about those things around people I don't know. Um, so I mentioned it, this is what my wife does, and she talks about those things, and maybe it makes them feel more comfortable. And then all of a sudden, it became this whole thing where, we ended up being a lot in common. We had similar degrees, and we came from similar series. Literally, we came out of 4 or 5 things from the same area, same school, same this, same sports, same positions in baseball, everything. And then he was like, "So you like wine?" I'm like, "I mean, I drink wine. My wife loves wine." And he's like, "So here, I make wine. Take this," and no label, no nothing. I go, "Well, let's drink this before we have diarrhea first. We don't know what this guy gave us." And he had this whole thing where he told me about, like, where he goes in Vista, California, and he's like, "This, you buy this and you can make wine and cheese." It's like, you want to make cheese, and they give you all the ingredients. All you have to do is add milk and do what you want to it to make brie, gouda, all that stuff.
We're gonna have to try that cheese making.
Oh Lord. Another thing to try.
Well, I did have a glass of wine while you were taking a nap.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I brushed my teeth. So, but even Brush Chief wine. This is actually pretty darn good.
Salud.
Yeah,
It's a
this
Merlot, you
is
said?
yeah, it's a Merlot. Well, no, that's what he said.
I mean, it's really
It
light.
really is. I mean, it's
It's really
Merlot.
light for.
And he even said, I think he said that this came out at a 13.2 for Merlot, which
Mm,
it's a really light period,
yeah,
but it's actually really good.
I know. Yeah, I now that you've had a couple sips after,
Yeah, it's starting to coat the palate.
yes, it's good.
Yeah.
So obviously we had. Did you find the wedding planning process? Because we did a lot together, but also we did a lot where you're just like, you just tell me to show up and I'll be it. Did you think it was really stressful?
Okay, the word stressful. That's a word it's it depends on what you think is stressful. Did I find it stressful? No, but I also came from an environment where you have thousands of people yelling your name and throwing money at you and music blaring, and you're doing that for 6 7 hours.
Yeah,
So did I find it stressful? No. Would a normal human being find it stressful? 100%.
I was stressed out.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just what you figure is stressful out. I mean, you ask that to a Navy SEAL, he'd be like, "No, that wasn't." I'm not saying I'm a Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
I'm like
On
I'm
a
a Navy. Yeah,
comparatively.
I'm a Navy warwol. I got a big horn
Oh
on my
my
head where
gosh,
it's a
you're
little bit
such a.
slower and colder environment, but I understand what they're going through.
Yeah, yeah.
I see what they talk about when they're stressed because I got married, so it's the same thing. We're same but different.
Oh my lord.
But it wasn't stressful as far as what I've dealt with stresses. But yeah, it's you know what it is. It's stressful in a way where similar to what you said is like hiking. I don't want to go up this hill, but once you get up the hill, you get to see the view.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then now that was the nice part. Like when it was all said and done, and we were falling asleep in bed with a glass of wine, didn't even drink it
I
because we're
know.
so tired. When we look back at it, it was a great time. It was the wedding itself went like that.
It did.
It went like that.
And
It went
everybody
like that.
says like, "Oh, don't expect to like have sex your wedding night." Now I know because they're like, "You're so
Well, the
tired."
ones who do don't do anything. They hire like a $7,000 an hour person that pays for
Yeah.
everything. Then yeah, you just sit back and they show up at 4. Show up at 4. I started at 7 in the morning. And me and my son were running around. We're driving things. We're buying thousands of pounds of ice and dropping off and then shooting to the next spot. And then we come back and then we shoot back. And all you people, women, are nice and getting primed and primed and get ready to go. And me and Quintine are sitting in the venue, just like, okay, you want to have a beer? He's like, yes. I'm like, okay. And then we go back to the hotel, like, let's have time, we'll relax, and we'll get dressed. And then you call us, all right, photographers are on the way to the room. We're like, wait, we're not even dressed yet. We just got back from dropping the kegs off. And, we're trying to have a beer together and like, all right, go back to your room, let's have some beers and then come back here. And then we show up and we're sitting at the venue waiting for who?
Me.
You. And we're sitting there like, okay, and you come walking out, you're like, with your entourage, and the boys are just like, we got to be boys, we can't do anything, we got to wait. Yeah, it can be stressful, but if you just look at it in the long run, like, hey, this is what it is. It's gonna be a big party, and then you can relax later.
Yeah.
Don't believe it because you'll never relax.
No,
Then you
but
have you telling me what to do later.
well, you always say happy wife, happy life.
I say it.
I try to say happy spouse, happy house.
She tries to say it, but she gets all this food in her mouth, and she's like, this is a mouse. What mouse?
Now,
A mouse.
such a dork. No, it did go,
It
it
went
did
by.
fly by
Yeah.
so
It
fast.
literally was a 30-minute party, it felt like.
It did.
Yeah, we walked in, and next thing you know, we're walking out.
And honestly, well, at least for me, and I've talked about this before, but for me, it didn't help that like the doctor had given me some medicine to stop my bleeding, and
I mean, it didn't
it
help
was
me either because I'm the one holding the door and trying to. The good thing we had
the
the extra
first time.
bathroom.
My
Yeah,
no, my sister did
yeah,
most of that, which
yeah.
was awesome, but it was rough. I mean, when because people were like, "Where have you been?" And I'm like, "Oh, I was, But I feel like for half of the like, especially the first part,
Perfect. Yeah, I've been.
we didn't see each other much.
No, no. That was the best part of the wedding. I gotta be like, ooh, ooh. I thought I really, honestly, when I think about weddings, because I go to weddings, I think about it being a party,
Yeah.
and it's a party and have a good time. But when you're the host of the party, you don't get a party. You really don't. You don't get to have all that fun that everybody else is having. We get to deal with the stress of like,
Yeah.
Antonio, we need more ice. Hey, we ran out of soda, so I'm Venmoing
Because
and
let
DoorDashing things.
we
Yeah,
because we did a DIY
yeah, we
wedding,
did DIY
and my sister helped a lot.
more
Like
than I thought. Yeah, I
because
didn't think she was gonna do all that work. Yeah,
she did. I literally was telling my sister, like, this is what me and Antonio have talked about. This is my vision, and she basically ran away with it.
and you know what? Honestly, now that I've done it, I could plan a wedding. I could do it as a guy wedding.
As a,
The wife would be like, no, 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 we are not doing that, and he'll be like, that sounds like such a good idea. Like we'll have a little Call of Duty tournament in the corner with the TVs,
oh
and the
my,
boys
yeah,
will shoot
no,
up, and
no.
the women we'll throw on some Hallmark channel and then let them watch that while we do this.
Wait, but even before the wedding, you came home one night from work, and you're like, babe, I got my ring. I got my ring. And I'm like, wait, what? Because I thought, it was my job to get his ring.
What? I did what? What did
And
I do?
he was so excited. And then he tells me, like, show your ring off to the.
Uh,
Okay, so
you might have to zoom out for that
yeah,
thing. You have
I
big
will,
diamonds. I have big silvers.
yeah. So if you're not watching this and you're listening, my lovely husband comes home and tells me he gets this ring and he got the Padres ring. And I'm like, wait,
It's not a
what?
Padres ring.
That's what you
It's
said.
a wedding ring that is a Padres
You
theme.
initially said you got a Padre ring for your wedding band.
Okay, I might have said that.
Yeah.
I might have said that.
So it's a skull. So
But for those who don't know, we are big Padre fans. We got
huge.
engaged at the Padre game.
Yes.
We go to Padre games every day. Um, the Padres will not make the World Series before I die. So
Yes,
I'm
they will.
okay. We saw it this year. It's not gonna happen. So I decided I might as well get married first before at least say that this Padres have something to do with happiness in my life because those guys are gonna
Do you want to
disappoint me.
explain who did your ring and what happened with that?
So there's a bartender. I used to go to bars a lot. I used to hang out of them, and one of the bartenders, his name is Gar. He makes a bunch of biker rings, and he actually does the rings for like Sons of Anarchy and the Mayans and things like that. I used to know people, and in one of my alcohol-induced stupors, I talked about having a tattoo, and I always wanted this sugar skull tattoo. And he's like, I could make that into a ring for you. And I'm like, you can make that into a ring for me? He's like, yeah, that's what I do for a living. And so I realized, hey, I'm not gonna get this tattoo, which is a lifetime. This is gonna be a lifetime.
He's
So
pointing to me. If you're
so
not
why
watching.
not do the best of both worlds? I can have this gigantic. It's just under a pound. It's heavy. That's
It's
how I do my
very
work. That's how I do
heavy.
my workout.
Oh,
Ring. My
you're
favorite.
such a macho man doing a workout with a 1 pound.
Ask her to do it right now. She'd be like, I can't. I just had surgery. She's been using that for 2 weeks already.
It has not even been 2 weeks, and I have to wait until doctor releases me to
Okay,
do
when
that.
Dr. Lavativas releases you, I'm gonna put this ring in this.
Okay.
This puts a strain. Good thing I have a good rotator cuff.
This is good thing I wanted somebody who's gonna make
And
me laugh.
so when he made it and I put it on, I'm like, this is the most amazing. It has baseballs for eyes and then an SD in the forehead, a sugar skull style, and then flowers all over, and then Padres on the chin. And everybody was like, why would you do that? I'm like, okay, my wife got her ring of her dreams. My grandmother's name was Ruby. I want rubies, and then we took it to the same guy,
Yeah.
and he helped us fix her ring, and it was titanium. He's like, okay, I'm like
Platinum.
platinum. I give me the lasers and throw this thing on there, and here it is, it's like 7 in the morning, and I don't even want to be awake, but I have to go get a ring fixed. And the guy's like talking about all these things. I'm gonna go get rubies from
Wait,
Burma.
let's talk about yours.
I know, that's why I say that.
first.
We made your ring the ring of your dreams.
After you got your ring.
But all I wanted was a sterling and silver ring. That's all I wanted. That looks like a skull with baseballs and says Padres.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean on the inside, all it says is "fuck LA." Doesn't mean anything different. I mean, yours might say "I love Antonio." It's
I
the
don't
same
have
thing.
anything in it.
It might say the same thing. So it's like beat LA. we say the same thing every time we're at a game.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, that's how in tune we are together. I knew that this ring would bring us together. Anytime that we would ever have a fight, I would just go like this. What do you think about the Dodgers? And you'd be like, hate the Dodgers. I'm like, see, I knew we love each other. And then all fights are gone. And I could use that into our deathbed.
Oh my gosh.
And then when I decide I want you to die, I'll just put this on your oxygen tank and just let that sit on the ring and it'll pinch it and bye-bye. And they'll be like, what happened? I don't know, I took my ring off. Oh, it clogged the oxygen.
But now you've just let everybody know your plan, so they're going to send you to the gas chamber.
I'm only going to be 52 years old. They won't do that to me at that age.
Yeah,
I'm 50 as of yesterday.
Yes,
Day before
he
yesterday.
just turned 50. And then my ring was my mom's ring. My dad had gotten it for my mom on their 20th anniversary. And she couldn't wear it anymore because she has arthritis in her hands. So she gave it to me. And like you said, we did get rubies added to it, to each
The same
side.
guy who did this.
Yeah, the same guy. He referred us to somebody.
Yeah.
And then, so now it represents 3 generations of Raya women. So it represents my grandma, my mom, and now me. And then see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
Well, not with that, but I mean,
Let's see
whoever
what
I decide
happens.
to
Marry after you. Let's see what happens.
I meant with the boys.
You tell him, at least I have a ring, sir. I got a ring. My ex-husband paid for all this. We're good to go. I got you now. You don't have to give me nothing. He even gave me a great engagement ring. You just sit back and relax. I'll give you this. I'm going to put all this in your pile whenever you're ready for me. Just give it back to me.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So then
while he's eating tapioca pudding, he'll be realizing what he can give you.
There you go. And then not soon after the wedding, there was, like I said, we've had some big transitions because in May of 2023, I left the council member's office and have been working on the podcast and events and all of that. And you've been unbelievably supportive with all of that.
I feel like I work more now that you don't work because you're like, let's go do an event. I'm like, oh shit, all right. I call my son. I'm like, all right, Sias, I need you to be a cameraman because I'm going to do this. You taking these Sias to events up in Northern California? Yeah.
And then you decided, because you were a bartender for how many years?
I was a mixologist.
Oh, I'm sorry. You were a mixologist for how many years?
Shoot. 98.
That's when you went into it?
Yeah.
To 2024.
Yeah.
Dang.
So you do that math.
That's a long ass time.
Yeah, it's a long time. I loved it. I did love it.
I mean, okay, I try and give you your shout outs, but share all of the like really cool things that you got to do while you were doing that.
You know, it's what's cool is different to other people. That's cool. You know, a lot of people think bartending's cool because you get to hang out at bars and talk to girls. It's not like that. You know, it really isn't.
That's almost why we didn't go on our first date.
and that's really not what it's like. Yeah, you get to hang out at bars and there are a lot of hot girls around, but you don't have time to talk to them. You know, you're too busy trying to make your money.
And I will say, any single time a girl would try and talk to you, a girl would message you, you would always tell me, you would show me.
Not until I met you.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, before that, I didn't say this girl 3 months ago talked to me. No. But you know, the industry is called the industry because it's an industry. You have to decide that this is what you want to do because you could lose relationships. You know, you can lose your mental health. You can lose a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot of alcoholism. There's a lot of drug abuse. There's a lot of things where you have to decide, like, what do you want out of this? Are you doing this just for a job? Are you doing this because you want to be cool? Are you doing this because this is, you know, what you felt was, you know, some people want to cook for people and you make people happy. Some people want to make drinks for people, make them happy, but they don't touch the booze. But if you go in the wrong route, you know, you're really hurting your own mental health. So I'm not saying that I was hurting my own mental health, you know, when I met you, and then I was like, oh, I'm this bad person. My mama said, never say anything bad about somebody else, but it was my time to leave, and that was tough. That was probably one of the toughest decisions I've made since I was like 23, because 21 I became a bartender, and now I'm 50, and I enjoyed every second of it. I really did enjoy it. I mean, I got to travel the world. I got to see countries that I would have never seen that they paid for, because I'm not saying I was good, but other people said I was good. So I represented this little town called San Diego, and I would represent the United States and go travel and compete. And a lot of people say you should have taken that more serious. I'm like, why? This is just a job that I'm just doing what I happen to do, and I happen to be kind of good at it. You should have been more serious. You could have won. I'm like, I was in Spain, I was in Puerto Rico, I was in South Africa, I was in, Russia. What better could I have done? They paid for everything. I had a great time. I had a great experience. I met people from all over the world. What else could I have done to be better at that? There's nothing else. And when it was time to like leave it, oh man, that was tough.
Yeah.
That was tough, because the job, I made a great living. I made a great living
Yeah.
doing this. Even your mom gave me a
Yeah.
hard time the first time I met her. Good
But
thing.
who was defending you? My
Ha
dad.
Ha was the
I was
man.
like, what? Because I really thought it was going to be my dad who was no. And he was like, no, bartenders can make some really great money, did it? And my dad was like all up on your side. And I was,
Yeah, Ha was the one. No, not so much. Ha just falls asleep when I talk to him, and now
whatever.
now your mom's the one like, get up, Antonio, hang out with us. I'm like, oh, come on, Yolanda. I just, but now I'm the one waking up with her while she's making coffee. I'm like, hey, Yolanda, you want to go for a walk? You want to go do something? Now it's like my times have changed. Like I'm already past my bedtime. It's already 4:30 right now.
Well, because then we took some time. We were like, okay, both of us together were kind of like reflecting on what your next thing should do, and you were like, you said I would want to do this or this
Hmm.
or this or this, and you like said some things. So we were both. I was helping you look for a job, like looking for opportunities. You were looking for opportunities. You were doing all these other things, and this opportunity came that I found as an HVAC tech.
Yeah,
And then when I showed it to you, I was like, they train you. They freaking do
because before
everything.
that we were looking at San Diego State, the programs they have,
Yeah.
and it was what, 10 months.
Yeah, to look at like their to do the summer programs
Yeah,
and stuff like
and
that.
you go through that, and you have to hit A, B, and C before you go into the program. And I was like, well, okay, that's 10 months of part time. Plus, I'm gonna have to be working to pay for the bills. And then you go out and you be an apprentice, and you're still making money. And then Jessica's like, I found this on Indeed or whatever you found it on, and all these things that we knew, like you have to do A, B, C. These people take you right from A to C, and during A to C they pay you. And I'm like, that can't be true. That can't be real. So I was already unemployed, so I'm like, all right, let's call them up. And a company from LA is calling me. I'm like, wait, I want to work in San Diego. Why am I getting a call from LA? And we went through all these hoops and things like that. And then San Diego finally called me and got my interviews, and I went through it, and blew me away what this company will do for you. Like I've always said, like, I like an owner, because owners are humans. You get to see them, you get to talk to them, and owners of restaurants and bars,
Yeah.
and you realize that they're just normal people just trying to make a living for their family. And as a bartender, you want to make sure that you take care of them. If you take care of them, you would hope that they would take care of you. Does that always happen? No. But that's just the way of the world. Until you're the one that owns it, you take care of them. And when I went to this interview, and you realize, man, they really do take care. I mean, they pay for. I got a van. I got a gas card. They paid for my education for HVAC. They paid for my EPA license. They paid for my home improvement contractor's license. They paid for everything. And at no point do I have to stay. They didn't say you have to stay for 6 months, 8 months, 10 months. They're like, if you want to leave, you can leave at any point, and you still walk away with all that. And when you told me that, I'm like, that's not true. There's nobody would be that dumb to do that. But then you realize, once you get in with that company and you pass all that, you're like, well, why would I ever leave that? You want to be loyal to that.
Yeah.
You really want to take care of that. And maybe as a young kid, I don't see it, but as an older person, I want to make sure that, yeah, I'm going to make sure that I take care of these guys and work as hard as I can for them.
Wine break. Time to refill that glass and come back for more wine and chisme.
So I know like we would talk after each step of the interview because there was what, like 4 interviews?
I think it was 5 interviews total. And then the classes, yeah.
And then you got in, they tell you get in, but you're not even guaranteed a
No,
job. You're just guaranteed
a chance.
a chance of
For
those
it. It was
classes.
an audition.
Yeah.
Is really what it was.
And what was your thought? Because I mean, I feel like I get to ask some a little bit different questions than versus just what we have our conversations.
Oh, Lord.
But no, I mean, when I remember that first week, you were very overwhelmed with the information that they did. You like, were you scared that you weren't going to make it?
100%. Because a bunch of things, but the main thing was I was the old guy. I mean, I was probably the same age as the teachers. And the guys that were in the class with me all came from similar backgrounds. You know, we had guys that installed solar, some solar. We had handymen. We had ex-electricians. You know, or people that went through an HVAC class but didn't quite finish because the school they went to wasn't well funded, so it fell apart. So everybody was like understood what a amp and a volt was, and understood what subcool and superheat was. I guarantee that 99% of those people that I'm talking to right now don't know what I'm talking about. And my first week, I had no idea. So I was one of those guys where it's like being at a junior college and you're the 45-year-old guy always raising your hand asking questions. I was just always asking questions like, what's an amp and what's a volt? What is this and what is that? And I'm so glad that they have the most amazing education because they were not frustrated. They probably thought about we might get some people like that, and they're like, okay, you know, and a volt is the water and an amp is the width of the liquid, and they made it more normal hearing. And I was like, this is still way I didn't understand. And then one day, like maybe the second week, they said something to me, you know, because everything's daisy chained, you know, boom, 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 boom. If A happens, then B happens, and C happens. If D doesn't happen, but C does, then it's between C and D. But if B doesn't happen and C does, you know, it's all these things. And one day they did something to me and it just clicked. And then my brain changed. I didn't start thinking about like, if it turns on, if you hit on and it's supposed to turn on, that's what happens. No, and there's all these things in between. When he's saying I want it on and it doesn't, I just starting to. I came home and I'm like, babe, it's starting to make sense. Like, okay, this is something that I think I can figure out. Like, I'm not dumb, but I'm not a genius.
You're smart. You're okay, very smart.
I just said I'm not dumb. I didn't say I was smart, but I'm not dumb.
I say you're smart.
And it became this thing where it's like, okay, now I have to start seeing it in a different way. I have to start stepping back from my own thought process. I have to stop thinking like, okay, if I hit on and it doesn't turn on, it's broken. No, it's like all these other things I have to look at. And then once I started doing that and I took my first furnace apart, I go, it's never gonna happen. I told Jessica, I'm coming home today. I'm not gonna be able to turn this thing on.
You would say that a lot. Like,
turn this on.
I'm gonna come home to because because like how often were they letting people go?
Every week. It was what 10, 11, 12, 10 weeks of like in person. Yeah, there was something gone every week because we started with 26 and we ended with 5. Yeah, so it was about every week. And then that one guy lost it the last week. That was the rough. 2 guys lost it the last week.
I know, that's when you were like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to make it. Because we thought, okay, you're safe at this point. But the reasons they got let go were very, very different.
Yeah.
Like
not being the on-time person and something in their background. Yeah.
So that's not anything that had to do with you.
And like, don't get me wrong, like I'm still working my ass off because you know you got to keep this job. It's not like, oh, I got the job, I got to go. I got to keep the process what they're telling me and keep it going. And it's not over for me. You know, I've been doing this 2 months on my own.
3 months.
September, like late September.
Yeah, no, beginning of September.
Yeah, 3 months, and it's not over for my steps. Like I gotta show that I can do it, because really they give you the basics. They want you to learn more on your own. You have to learn more on your own. And you see me on YouTube, and I'm watching all those videos.
But
I'm
you know
like,
what my favorite part is though, when you call me and tell me, "Oh, babe, I figured this
I figured it out.
out."
I think the owners think, because I text them too, and they won't answer me. I'm like, bing, ring. I'm calling 3 different guys. They don't answer. I'm like, well, I can't break it anymore. Let's see what happens. And I used the education that they gave me, and I started like hitting wires and moving things around, and things fire up, and then they'll call me like literally a minute later and tell me what's up. I'm like, never mind, I figured it out. Like, okay, good, thanks, awesome. Like, what happened? Like, there was a gas leak, or there was a this, and there was a pressure thing, and there was no pressure coming back. I'm not gonna bore you guys with the information. And they're like, oh, that's awesome, you figured it out. I'm like, well, I know what I'm supposed to do. I know, I just don't want to step over my bounds.
Yeah.
That's why I call somebody. I always say it's like over my pay grade. But you just happen to go house to home, because they call people. A homeowner just calls like, "Hey, I'm ready for my HVAC." What's 33 years old. We don't know if it's broken or not until I get there. And I'm only supposed to work on new units to get used to touching my hands and getting dirty and doing things. And then you get there, and they think it's 8 years old. It turns out to be 28 years old. I'm like, yeah, this thing's illegal. This thing is gone. It's empty. It's been leaking into the environment, blah, blah, blah. And they don't believe you. I'm like, you got to stand there like, I'm confident. I know who I am. I know what I've done. I know what I'm looking at. I'm sorry, ma'am. This thing is guaranteed, because you know how to read serial numbers and you do all this thing. And then they say, fix my thermostat. They don't teach you thermostat work, because it's just a piece of plastic in HVAC school. So you really learn it. And next thing you know, I'm like, hey, can you do this and that's? I'm like, I got you. And they say, what do they say? It's like, you don't know what you don't know until you don't know it.
What would you say the biggest similarity between bartending, mixology, and your HVAC work is?
Similarity? Oh,
Yeah.
there's more than just what's the one similarity. I mean, the one similarity is I get to talk to people. I mean, the van time when I drive to job, I'm alone. But once I walk in that house, I'm talking to that person one on one. It's just me and that person. And then you also have a lot of problem solving, and you don't have a lot of jobs, like if you're a phone call, it's like, oh, hey, I'll transfer you to my manager. You don't have that in a bar, and you don't have that in HVAC, because you're an hour and a half in the mountains, and you got to figure this out yourself. They do give us a bunch of parts in our van, and we do know how to use those parts. In a bar, you have all those parts, but you wouldn't use them until you ask your boss. Well, if you're in the mountains, you don't have a signal on your phone, you can't ask. You just got to go for it and see what happens. And you know, we my job, we have a great managerial system where they're just like, okay, go ahead and we'll just back you up. We'll go from there after that. And I think it's a lot of that problem solving, the working on your own, because when you're in your own well, though, that 45-degree window is yours. You just deal with that, and you deal with these people. The only thing that's not different, which I love, is they're not all drunk. Now, have we gone to somebody's house at 8 in the morning? They're hammered drunk. Yeah,
Really? Wait, you haven't told me that.
yeah,
You've gotten to somebody's house at 8 o'clock in the morning,
hammered,
and they were hammered.
hammered. In like bikini briefs, and like they didn't expect us there, and like, should we leave? And they
Oh
said,
yeah,
like,
that is a thing because you're going into people's houses. Like at a bar, people are coming into your
yeah,
house. You're like
yeah.
going into people's houses.
You got people, as soon as you open the door, a cloud of weed smoke hits you in the face. Like, who smokes weed at 10 in the morning? Like, God damn, do something. Like, maybe they work, maybe they're musicians, but again, it's not my job. The thing that sucks is if you walk into a house like that, you walk out and you smell like weed.
And you
then,
can't go to the next house smelling like
well, can you? Yeah, you have to. And now in California, you need air conditioning in all the dispensaries, and they only use mini splits. So we go in there, and you're in a place you smell like weed. So now you're working in a weed place doing like 15 mini splits, and you're just like, holy crap! I walk out of here, my wife's like, you've been smoking weed all day. I'm like, well, not all day. I just got home. I just pulled into the driveway. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities in the fact that you deal with people. You have to be if you're not a people person, go commercial. I go in residence. I literally hang out in people's homes all day, and a lot of them are embarrassed. Like, my house is so dirty. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, this is a home. You're supposed to be. It's lived in. Let it be that. And then you have people where it's like, get in my home, do your thing, get out. And I'm like, okay, you called me, number one. I'm doing that.
Aren't you glad I was like, because you had to do the role play. I was role playing with you, and I was not the nicest person.
I don't think anybody liked you that came over here liked you. They're probably doing better out there.
But I probably made them all better.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I get in the car and I'm like, at least she wasn't Jessica. I'll tell you that. That woman was the meanest.
As the role player.
As a role player.
Yes.
As a role player. Because we have to learn how to talk to people and, explain to them that they're unit. It's like going in to get your oil. Now I understand when your oil change, like my oil change needs to get done. Oh, your transmission's out. It's not that far, but it's similar. But it's like, hey, you're supposed to come in and check my unit, and now you're telling me I need this. I'm like, well, yeah, you didn't change your oil this year or whatever it is.
Yeah.
A lot of things like that. So I'm getting used to being yelled at because people. I wasn't there 10 years ago when they got their equipment installed. I was promised I would never pay for this and that again. I'm like, nobody would ever promise you that you would never get your oil change. Same idea. So that's the part that's similar, is that you deal with people that are angry with you. And if you've never had anybody yell at you for something that you've never done, it can be really tough.
Yeah.
But as a bartender, I used to get yelled at all the time for something I never did. And so when they yell at me, I'm like, man, like, what do you want me to tell you? I wasn't here. I don't know what to say.
How hard was it? Because our schedule has complete. Well, I've always been a morning person. You were not ever a morning person, but obviously with this schedule, you are a morning person now.
Mm-hmm.
How hard was that to change to?
I'll tell you this: the first, 2 months of the class alone, that was tough. Now it's easy, but it's been July, August, yeah. So it's now it's easy. Now I got up this morning. Now Jessica loves it because she doesn't have to walk the dogs in the morning. Now she's like, "You want me to walk the dogs with you?" And I'll say, "If you want to," and then I hear,
"You do not say." Don't lie.
And she's already asleep.
Lies you tell.
All I have to say is, "If you want."
You don't even.
And before I even say two, you're already asleep.
Not even.
But I appreciate you asking. I do appreciate you asking.
No, because you say, "No, just stay in bed. I'm faster without you." That's what you say.
That's because your surgery. Before that, I was like, "Let's go." No.
I would get up and go. Whatever. You don't tell me that.
You would get up. Doesn't mean you want to. But the change of times, that was rough. That was rough. I'm gonna say it was rough for about 4 months. Now it seems. I used to wake up at noon. Lies.
Well, from my perspective, when you were at the bar, you would, obviously sleep all day, wake up to have lunch, and then take a nap to go to work. And
because I wouldn't be home till 3, 4 in the morning, and then I have to have dinner, and that's at 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm having
but
dinner.
That's what I'm saying. Like for I didn't spend much time with you at all because.
We spent times on the weekends. My weekends, Sunday, Mondays. My weekends.
But even that, no, it wasn't Sunday, Mondays. It was Thursday, or no, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. No. It was during the week.
I don't even remember that life. I don't even remember what that was. What did I do?
Yeah, I remember. But even then, because you would wake up at 11, 12, and then still you would take a nap and whatever. So even on those days, we still, rarely would we spend a whole day together.
No, that ain't gonna happen. I have to be so much. I mean, so much energy is used at a bar as a bartender. And unless you're at a golf course, you are cranking. I mean, you are just moving. And no offense, and I'm not trying to say like to my own horn, but beep beep. I only worked at the great bars. I
Yeah.
was always busy. As soon as it was time to crank, you're 6 7 hours balls to the walls, and you're just moving as long as you can, and then it slows down at 1. Then you clean up, but you're still amped up, and then you come home. You're like, "Whoa, I'm still amped up. Let's go." It's 3 in the morning. You eat dinner, and now you're having your first drink at 3 in the morning, and next thing you know, it's 5 in the morning because you're a bartender. So you drank too much, and now you're drunk, and then you go to sleep, and then you got to wake up because you have responsibilities. You go walk the dog and have your coffee, and then you realize I got to do this all again tomorrow, and you got to go back and take a nap. No, no, that it was, when I talk about it now, I'm like, why did I do this? That was a tough life. Like, damn.
But also, you would come home so mad, even if you made good money. You'd be so mad because you're dealing with drunk people, or you're dealing with this, whatever, and you'd be like, fuck this, I'm quitting tomorrow.
Yeah,
Like, I
man.
can't stand this shit. And now it's like
Just
total.
imagine working with like the worst people, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and that's all you had to deal with was the worst people. Anybody would say, I don't want to deal that.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to do that. But I actually enjoyed my actual job, like the part I had to do. I enjoyed it, and that's why probably I did it so long. And I'm not saying it's because of you, but it's because of you. I decided I need a change. Like if somebody said, "All right, HVAC is done, you're out, go back to bar," would I do it? Yeah. Would I do it married to you? No. Because like the other day, I was offered that job, and I could go work right back downtown, right in the gas lamp, right in the hub, and I could be right back in the thick of things and start making the money. And it took me a lot to say, I'll find you somebody. I'll find you somebody. I got people. I'll make my calls. It's just that doesn't appeal to me anymore. That used to be like my life. I can't. I want the stress. I want the pain. I want that. Just like a boxer. If you weren't a fighter, who wants to get hit in the face all day? But if
Right.
you're a boxer, they enjoy that. They're like, I like that. I feel good about I feel good being there and hitting the face. That's what makes me feel alive. It's the same thing as being in the restaurant industry. Like I miss getting hit in the face. Yeah. But now that I'm not getting hit in the face, oh, I can make a living and not get punched. I'll take that. I'll take that. And when he offered
It's,
me that, I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'll find you somebody.
I will say, like, I know when we start dating, even when we got engaged and everything, you're like, this is the life you signed up for. And I knew it. Like, I was like, I wasn't always happy. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't always happy about it, about that, because I wanted to spend time with you. Um, but when you decided like to quit that job, I honestly was
I
not
don't know if I
expecting it.
decided to quit that job.
Well,
Yeah,
when everything happened,
yeah, you know the story.
yeah, when everything happened, and I didn't think you were going to quit the industry, to be perfectly honest, because I never asked you to and everything. When you decided that's what you wanted to do and got this job, but I just, for me as your wife, see how much happier you are, because you also get that time to decompress between. You're not the extrovert that I am, like you said at the very beginning. Like, I can talk to everybody. You will, because you have
I
to,
don't want to.
right? But you get that time in between to be in the van by yourself
I
and
think
to
that's what makes me
decompress.
different is that I'm supposed to be the extrovert, and you're supposed to play that, but when you're not, you have to go home and deal with that depression and anger and all that as an introvert because you just would rather. And like you would say, let's go out today. I'm like, I don't want to go out today. I did so much this week talking to people. Blah, blah, blah. I really would rather just stay in a cold dark room because I don't want to do it. And there was a lot of depression that was involved. And is it clinically approved depression? No, it was just like I just don't want to be around people because I'm not. And I don't know how I got into bartending. I know how I got into bartending, but I don't know how that really made me as a person. But for the 20 plus years, I was not that person that wants to be out and about and partying. On the weekends, I'd rather just hang out with one or two people and go and have some drinks. I'd want to go out, yeah, but I didn't want to be like the guy that's the life of the party, like everybody thinks bartenders are. Everybody thinks that the bartender is the life of the party, and there's a lot of them that are out there and that are. But there's a lot of them out there that are just like me that just got caught in the industry that happen to be good at what they do, like a chef. A chef does not want to be in the front of the house. They don't want to
Yeah.
deal with people. They want to deal with
Well,
their staff.
our
Yeah.
oldest son is a sous chef, and
Yeah.
that's not he wants to just be in his little corner.
He wants to
doing
be in
his
his corner.
thing.
He wants to make food and do his thing. And just like me, if I could make the same, money, we're not gonna say numbers, and sit in a back room and just put drinks through a window, oh, I would have never left bartending. I would have never left bartending. And if the server just would have came up and said they want something that's very flavorful, like this, this, and this, and this, and I gotta be, experimental and try things, I would have never left. And Jessica would have said like, I'm never gonna marry you, and I would have been like,
Whatever.
I never even asked you. And I mean, it would have been this whole thing where it's like I would have been so happy. But you have to deal with people, and people get drunk, and drunk people are sometimes irrational. And at one point in your life, you have to say, enough is enough. I just can't deal with it. Because an owner, that's why they hire you. They hire you because you're the one, so I don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I was always that guy. I'm like, I got it, dude. I've never been the one like, oh, if you're not going to deal with it, I'm not going to deal with it. No, it's like my job was to make their job easier. And then the last job, yeah, they were just the ones where like we just don't want to deal with it until you deal with it. And then I dealt with it one too many times, and
That was it.
that was it. When they start calling your house,
Yeah.
it becomes too much, and then they're like, what? They act dumb.
So now you're in this thing, and now you've been in. Your managers were very upfront with you, saying like you have 5 to 7 years doing this tops.
Yeah.
And then but they've opened the doors for you in other places
Mhm.
because they want to see you stay in the company.
Mhm.
Beyond that, how did that make you feel when they were telling you that?
Well, the first thing is like, damn, only 5 7 years. I've seen old bartenders. I guess there's no old HVAC techs.
Well, now that you've been doing it, can you
Yep.
imagine?
5 years. Thanks. I didn't know I had that many years. Shoot, man. I came home the other day and I couldn't stand up straight for an hour. You're sitting in attics. You're always bent. Your body is beat. Now I realize what they say about trades. Your body gets beat. Your body is beat. 5 years, I would love it. I would love to get 5 years out of this. But it made me feel good that they see something in me. Whether it's that I can talk to people. It's not that I need to sell people. I'm not a seller. I'm not on
You're
those
a
guys.
relationship builder.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people who
Same
like to
as
sell
me.
things. If you need it, you need it. If you don't, you don't. And my work might hate that, but everybody in my job loves me. Like when I go to a home, they love me. I'm only supposed to take 45 minutes. I'm there an hour and a half because we talk, we chat. People.
You come home with
I come home with
wine.
wine,
Come home with food. I'm like, what
Yeah,
the,
they get
the
food.
heck?
They
You
get
come home with
they
stuff.
pick their trees for me.
At
So they give me
least once
fruit.
a week, you come home with something,
Something
that your
I love
customers
it.
give
They
you.
love me. You have a lot of people that talk about they just lost their husband or wife, and you got to talk to them about that. You can't just say like, "Oh, that sucks. All right, I'm gonna go fix your furnace," and then say, "I need X amount of dollars to fix this," and we're out. You got to realize this woman just lost her husband. This woman just lost this. This husband just did this. They just lost their kid. Their kid just got killed. Or you hear so many sob stories. That's the thing that's different. I get more sad stories as an HVAC tech than you would as a drunk being at a bar. Like my wife just left me because you're like, well, yeah, because you're a drunk. I get it, dude. Get the fuck away, dude. Here's your thing. Get the hell away. But the people that are you're coming into their homes. You're coming into their homes in their comfort zone. And you're like, okay, I got to do this, and you have to do these things. And now I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do? And when I'm supposed to realize that maybe I only have 4 or 5 years left in this industry, I have to figure out what am I going to do left in this industry. So maybe sales and give them new units and things like that. So I'm trying to realize, like, okay, I don't have that much time. I gotta start moving forward. And when they said that I was a good salesman, did I like that? Yes and no. Because yes, that's good that they say they see something in me that makes me great. But it's like, no, it's like, you want me to be a salesman? Just because I can talk to a person and you know find a relationship and people that we have something similar, because what, we both have deaths in our lives and we have both have struggles. That's not the part that I liked. I didn't like that they, again, that's in my own head because that's my restaurant industry. When you find
Right.
something that, and would I be good at sales? I don't know. Would I take advantage of people? Nope.
You know what I think, I know you don't like taking advantage. I'm the same way. I'm like a relate when I was in where I had to do sales, I was a relationship person. So somebody might go in and sell when I was working for AT&T, for example. Somebody might go in and sell to a company and get 30 phones in a day, but then they have those people calling back getting pissed off.
Hmm.
It might take me a month to sell 30 phones, but then I might sell 40 phones. And guess what? They know what to expect, so they're not going to call upset. Like they don't what they call churn out, right? They don't churn out because I set the expectation accordingly, which is something
Well,
that you
that
do.
people are always mad at me for something somebody said or did or didn't say or didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wasn't even here. I wasn't there. This was years ago. My first time showing up at your house, and they're chewing me out. And good thing I'm used to being with drunks and yelling at me. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I wasn't here. Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah. How now that you've, because both of us have really kind of pivoted in our careers late in our, like in our 40s. I know that it's not easy because I'm still
I
working.
like that you say I appeared in my 40s. I was 49, but okay.
You were still in
I
your
was still in my
40s.
40s. I was still in my 40s. We pivoted in our 40s. I'm 50 now.
Yeah, but I mean it's not easy, and honestly, I wouldn't even be
No.
able to do what I'm doing now if it weren't for your support and your belief in me to be able to continue to do the podcast and to do events and everything. And you know, I hope you feel that from me too, like
But
how
you
much
like it?
that I support you and
Oh, you
your,
support me.
yeah, in your change. Like how now that you've made this, I think so many people think that they can never do it because it's too late. I think we're kind of two instances saying it's never too late. You can still do it. What do you think?
Um.
It's not
Okay. It's
easy,
not.
but
It's not. It's not easy. It's
yeah.
definitely not easy. I'm not saying that any person can do it. Because remember when we were talking about me doing it, I
Hmm.
was going to go to a school,
Yeah.
and then we're like, okay, well, I still got to work a full time job because we wanted you to do your podcast and we have to
Yeah.
pay
But
rent.
also with all my health issues
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything we
So
knew.
for me to just say I'm going to go to school at 48 years old, 49, well, 49. Well, if you're doing a regular school, 48 years old, and no, 47. If you want to be where I'm at, you have to be 47 years old, unless you're a kid. Then you do the year of school. Then you got to do another year of apprenticeship, and then you get your own van. Unless you get lucky like me, but it's to do it, you have to a couple things. One, you have to decide this is it. I have to decide to get away from, because I told you a lot of times, like, maybe I should just go back to bartending.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just get a part-time bartending job. And if I would have done that,
You
I
would
would
have
have
gone
been
up.
I
You would
would
have
have
gone
been
up.
stuck in there. I would have been
Yeah.
stuck again, and I would have never gotten out. And I needed to get out. And then if you don't have that financial support to go to school and do all this, you're never going to become that electrician, that plumber, that HVAC, which makes amazing money. We all make amazing money because it takes a lot of knowledge. Because, and for me to say I want to get out of that again, this is me saying this.
Yeah.
I really did love the bartending lifestyle. If it wasn't for you, I probably would have never gone out. And I'm like, screw it, I'll just be single for the rest of my life. I have no cares in the world. I pay my bills. I got a place to live. I get to live by myself. I'm fine. for me to leave that was tough. It was really, 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 really tough. And then to change industries so dramatically, like, okay, I'll be a server rather than a bartender. That's easier. I literally went from being in an industry to doing something I've never ever done or even seen or thought about. It was hard. It was really, really hard. And it scared me a lot. Plus, I'm old. I'm older than a lot of guys that are going in there. Not a lot. I was not the nearest guy to me. I think was 25, and I turned 50 the other day. So it's like these guys are young. Their bodies are agile. They can jump up in attics and go through crawl spaces, and I have to.
I'm sorry, it just reminded me of when you're saying you can get up in the attics real good.
I can't get
And then
out.
you get out, you're like, where's the step?
I can't.
Where's the
Yeah,
step?
I can get in the attic. I just can't get out. I'm like, oh shit! I should have got the 8-foot ladder. And now I'm like, the tippy toe, and you can see my foot. If you were living in a home, you just see this foot of a boot, just trying to find the ladder and try to touch it, and then it comes back up, and then you see 2 feet trying to find. Then they both go back up, and then you see the heels. They both back up. It'd be hilarious. I would laugh. I would laugh too. I would laugh and watch that. And then all of a sudden, you just see 2 feet plop. Like, oh, this is what I got to do. You figure out how to get, because getting in is totally different than getting out. Because you see it and you get it, bloop, you're in, and then like you get out, you have a backpack, all this stuff. Yeah, it's different. But it's tough to get out of a. That's the thing about the restaurant. It's not a job; it's a lifestyle. It really is, because you got to realize, you got to think about your relationships. You got to think about your lifestyle. You got to think that this is a job, and I left a lifestyle for a job, which I've never, ever, ever had. Well, no, I've had jobs, but I've never left a lifestyle for a job. And now everything that I've ever known since I was 21 has changed. It's like, no, you don't get up at 11 a.m. That's not normal. You don't just go out and party till 7 a.m. That's not normal. That's not what normal people do. Is it a great life? Oh, it's a great life. I had
Hope
so
this
much
life is better for you.
for me. But as far as like, having fun, it was that mixology life was so much fun. I got to travel. I got to do all these things. I got to do so many fun things. Can I not do it? Now, my fun things are, let's go do something on the weekend. We can do things. We can actually go out and hang out on the weekends. We can go to the park. We can do all these things. So it's all in what you decide what is fun. But yeah, like you said, what was it like? It was tough. It was hard. And is it still taking getting used to? Yeah. And I think you're getting used to it now, because now you stay asleep till 8 in the morning, and I'm already gone by 6 a.m. I'm already walking the dogs. I want dinner by 5 or 4. I want to eat and sleep, because I got to
And
get
for
up.
us, that's something that I just want to share. Like when we were both working on your days off, you would have dinner ready for me,
Yeah.
and I would come home. And I know that's not ever been a problem for you. And on weekends, you're like, I
I,
need
I
dinner.
enjoy the cooking part, and I that's my hospitality part, I guess.
Yeah.
I
But
want to do
like
something.
we've made that decision together in regards to like I'm staying home so to work. So yeah, I have the time so you can
Yeah.
come home and I'll cook and I'm a cleaner anyway.
Yeah.
So
I have no problem having dinner ready with 75 pots. All right, here's dinner.
oh,
There's the whole thing
I
about.
can't do that. I can't do that.
Yeah.
But I'm so proud of you, babe. I'm so proud of like everything that you've
But
done.
if anything comes out of this podcast, because I told Jessica, like, I don't like to talk. I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I want the men to know that even at an old age, okay, let's say, how about older?
Yeah.
An older age. There's opportunities out there, because I really, if it wasn't for you, I probably would have never found this, and I would have stuck with bartending and been miserable. And with you, and that would have made you miserable and all that. But there's things out there let your wife find them. It's like if it wasn't for you finding, the company I'm with, I would have been I would have went to school because I would have said I'm out of the industry. I'm out, and I would have been miserable for even longer. Am I miserable now? Yeah, I have my miserable days. There's no job where you're not miserable unless you own the company and then you just get to yell at everybody. But until then, I enjoy my work.
You don't come home pissed off
I don't come
anymore.
out of work pissed off anymore. I come home more like, what this dumb broad said to me? You know what this dumbass said to me? Like how dare you say this
But
to me?
you take pride in your work,
Not to,
either regardless of
yeah,
what they
and
say.
even if I don't know what I'm doing, I'm gonna try. It's already broken.
Yeah.
I can't break it anymore. And then when it works and I turn the furnace on, the air conditioner on, I'm like, hell yeah! I knew. It's great to feel like I have a great feeling where I've never realized that. Maybe it's a man thing. Like I like to fix things. I like having my
You
hands on. I
do.
like cranking wrenches. And
He always tells me like, "Don't throw it away until I look at it.
I
Let
mean,
me look at it and see if I can fix it. If I can't fix it, then you could throw it away. But if I can't, but let me try."
and I try that at work. I tell the people once we're out of duct tape and bubble gum, then we'll fix it. And then they're like, okay, let's go. And next thing I know, I have that lady calling me. I'm like, oh, I don't want to deal with this lady. Don't want. But nobody else wants to deal with her. But I'm
So
like,
now she likes you.
that's the one she likes, and
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, okay,
She likes you going to her house now because
because a lot
you're
of
like
those,
everybody else was like not wanting to deal with her
and
and
a lot of people, like I said, they don't like to deal with that, which I'm used to. And when I tell her, when I say duct tape or bubble gum, I'm gonna keep this thing alive. I'm not gonna say you need a new unit. That's probably why I'm not the most loved person in the company.
no, I don't think no, you're not the that there's a difference. They really do like
No, I
you.
said the most loved because
Yeah.
guys that are making money because they're just selling new units. And I'm like, nah, we'll get you. And you know what's gonna happen in 10 years? All those people that love me are just gonna say, it's my time, and I have this whole stack of people. No, and they're just gonna just make it. So I'm making the future investments. That's like as a bartender, you make those regulars.
Yeah.
The regulars are the ones that make you money. I'm making regulars,
Yeah.
and now when I come back to their house, I have that one couple that I'm gonna go to their house. Have I ever done drywall? Nope. Have I been watching YouTube videos? Yeah. And I'm literally gonna
Oh,
knock.
because you have to
I have to,
cut a
you have to
whole
cut a
thing,
hole in
right?
their wall. And when I get there, we're going to make money off that. When I went there for the first time for air conditioning, I'm like, oh, you're screwed. You have no airflow. I'm going to go in there, I'm going to knock a hole out their wall, and I'm going to make money off them. And could I have made money off them that day? Yeah. But I'm going
But
to make
that's the
more money for me.
yeah.
I'm going to make them more comfortable, make more money for me, more money for the company on a later date. Like, this is what we have to do. And like I said, the lady that husband just died, we will make money off her. I'm gonna make sure that she's comfortable now. Will that unit die eventually? Yeah, it's gonna die in 5 years, but it's not gonna die tomorrow.
Yeah.
So when I go back in the summertime and she's more emotionally stable and she's like, okay, I'm used to, it's tough. We just lost Papu. We lose people and it's tough. You don't want to deal with it, but you get back in the real world. And when she's
Yeah.
back in the real world, I'm like, okay, now let's knock this out. Let's make you more comfortable. We went a year or two. Now let's start doing this. And I think that a lot of the kids that are making the money right now and doing the job,
They're
they're
short
short
sighted.
term. Yeah, they have nothing left. My people are gonna call me
Yeah.
every day. When I first got the job,
I
it was
think
it was
honest
funny. Is that Omar,
uh-huh.
the guy I talked to you with? He was like, if you're not invited to the family's barbecue, you didn't do your job. I think that I am invited to barbecues now.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
And they freaking I was in New York and you called me, you're like, hey babe, I just left this lady's house. I'm leaving with a whole bag of groceries because she wanted to like give
yeah,
me all this stuff and the wine that we drank tonight and there's always something. But I think ultimately, like we're both of us are in this transition together, right? We're learning together.
yeah,
We're still newlyweds. We're going through all of these things, but like we believe in each other, we support each other, and we know that we're going to get through this time because a lot, like we said at the beginning, a lot happened this year. A
Look,
lot of stuff that we're not necessarily like
I mean, our
gonna
house burned down
share.
almost.
Yeah,
I mean, this has been a crazy month.
it's been a crazy
But you know what's
year.
funny is that if this happened in 2023, we'd be probably killing each other, like struggling. But we're because of what I would have been doing as a job where I came home stressed out. But because of this new job and this new career endeavor, we find it funny. It's like we laugh about it. We were like, oh my god, we might have died. That's stressful. But
Yeah.
we come to a point where that's not even stressful. We're like almost dying isn't stressful anymore. Like, we're like,
Somebody's trying to blow us up.
yeah, but we find life in it. We find love. We connected with the neighbors.
Mhm.
I mean, we were out there that whole night just talking and laughing, and then you know, Jody came down and gave us treats for you
Yeah.
know. I mean, they use the word hero.
Oh Lord, don't start, don't
I
start.
use the word first responder. They see hero. I don't like that
Ay,
word.
ay,
There's other
ay.
heroes in the world.
I
Yeah,
think that's our cue. I think that's the
I'm kicking
cue.
doors in and checking fires, but my hands got all cut up breaking open the fire extinguisher. Because I'm so dumb, I don't think about the hammer. I use my knuckles.
No, it was first instinct. That's what it
That's what
was.
first responders do. Is they use
Oh
their
Lord, I
first
should
instinct.
have said.
Exactly. First responders use their first instincts. I could have used the elbow, but I went knuckles. I'm from the
You're
streets.
Sesame Street.
Bah, 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 bah.
Honey, thank you so much for sharing. Because I
Well,
know,
if I have one more thing to say
yeah.
is if there's a I don't know how many guys watch this podcast, listen to the podcast, but wives tell your husbands, hide your husbands. No, uh, and the men that are listening and you're thinking about changing it, I'll tell you this: I am so much happier that I changed my career. I thought about it for years, and I thought about it for years. Um, it's scary. It's tough, but my mental health has changed dramatically, and it's made me. I'll say a better person. It's made me a better person. It I never wanted to do it because I was scared of what would happen tomorrow. And now that I see what tomorrow is such a better place because I would have been stuck in that rut where I'm comfortable. I may have been unhappy, but I would have been comfortable. There's happiness and
Yeah.
comfortability. It's the same thing. You're uncomfortable, but you're still happy. And now I'm actually happy being happy, and it's such a change that I was not expecting. I didn't know what I was expecting when I went into this job. Um, but it's definitely changed. So for any of the men out there who are saying I'm too old to do this or I can't do that, I literally am telling you, yeah, you can. I went from total different industry into another one, and I feel that I'm thriving. And I think it's made my home better, my lifestyle better. I think it's making my mental health better. Like I only nap once a week now. I used to nap 7 days a week,
You're only on the weekends now.
and only once. I haven't napped today.
Yes, you did. You not right before this.
Oh, that's right. That doesn't count. That doesn't count. I got up early and I needed a late night.
I'm gonna
But it,
call
but but
you
it, but
out.
it literally my mental health has gotten a lot better, and I know my family loves it. Not only like my immediate family, like my wife, but like my mom loves it. My kids love it, and now I see my mental health with my kids that I need to start talking about. Because before I'm like, yeah, that's the life, bro. Girls come and go, this and that. It doesn't matter. And now I'm seeing them like they're sad, and I didn't realize how sad they were, and I need to start
Having those
having
conversations.
those conversations. Now, can I? No, because if somebody would have told me that in my career, I'm like, nah, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know. I was there, bro, and I did that. Hopefully, they'll listen to me. but we'll see. At least I have something. But now I'm seeing that my mental health has definitely changed. And I now that I have benefits again, I never had benefits in that industry.
It's amazing, right?
I'm one of those guys where I'm old enough to like, oh, maybe I should check out. Do I have that depression? Do I have that anxiety? Which I think I do, ADHD and all that stuff. And look at me and fix me, because in that industry, you don't want to have the stigma to be depressed and anxious, because you're supposed to be the happy guy. And now that I'm out of it, maybe I should try to fix it. Or if I have something that's fixable, let's go. And it's more easy to talk about it now that I'm not in that industry. I wouldn't be so reluctant to tell the doctor, like, yeah, I had this thought and I had these dreams and sometimes I can't breathe. And even Jessica knows, she wakes up and I have these panic attacks and things like that. But they're a lot less
Oh my
now.
gosh.
They're a lot
I
less
think
now.
it's only been once or twice.
Yeah, it's
since
a lot
you
less now, but they're
left.
still there. I think it's something that shows that it's something in my brain that the job made more prevalent. And
Yeah.
now that it's not there as much. So it's like that's something that I realize that if you need to get out of it, you have to get out of it. There's nothing good about staying in there just because you make a few bucks. Did we struggle for a while? Yeah, we
Yes.
struggled. And are we where I was, a year ago? No. But are we more happy? Yes. And that is actually more important. Do we still have a roof over our head? Yeah. Is there food in our bellies? Yeah. Is it, steaks? No. But it's beans
We're
or rice.
Mexican. What
Yeah,
we
beans and rice, and I'm fine with that. I'd make migas in the morning and have that for lunch, and then we have beans and rice for dinner.
and whatever he can get his hands to smoke.
Exactly. And
I mean, smoke in the smoker. That's
yeah, not that I smoke. But it's a happier life where those things just time. I think the time that's flying now is a happier time rather than the sadder time. So if anybody ever has that reluctance, like I can't do it, no, it is possible. It is possible. It's tough, but it's not tougher than sticking with that job. Sticking with that crappy job and being miserable. Oh, that's way tougher. That is waking up every day and being miserable. Oh, that sucks. That sucks. Now I see it now. I'm like, that sucks. And now I wake up just tired. Maybe a little less money in my pocket, but I wake up and I'm happy. But waking up like that, all those things and miserable, oh, that sucks. And I don't have that no more. And I'm happy that that's what I get to enjoy time with my dogs. I get to enjoy time with my wife. That's nice. That makes more happy life, happy wife, because now we have weekends and enjoy it. I enjoy it.
Honey, thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate it. Look, he didn't necessarily want to, and I was like, I'm not gonna force you. He goes, if you want me to, but you actually shared a lot, and even some stuff I hadn't heard before. You shared a few things.
I like men.
You're such a narc. Thank you, baby. I love you.
Love you too.
Until next time, mi gente.
Hola, mi gente. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Wine and Chisme podcast. If you would like to hear more wine and more chisme, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Saludos.